We conclude today, chapter 9. We are speaking about how a stone, a rock, is an act of creation by God. In that act, there's divine wisdom in the rock. There's divine wisdom in all of creation. In the spiritual realms, even more readily observable, shall we say, divine wisdom. How is that relative to God? He's totally beyond the act of creation, which the act of creation includes divine intelligence, the divine to create. How has it come that there is divine intelligence? You know, we think, and I'm going to stop for a moment to go back to a point that I've made several times, but we'll probably have to make it many more times, just because the human condition is such that we create God in our image. So since I'm got intelligence, and we all think of ourselves to be intelligent people, which we are, well then, God's got to be a lot more intelligent than me. That's why he's God. Creating God in our image. Now, is there divine intelligence? Absolutely. Is that defining God? Absolutely not. He is infinitely beyond it. How does it come to? So, God is the source of intelligence, but he is not intelligence himself. He's beyond that. What does it mean? How does it become the source? Well, through tzimtzum, the concept of contraction. The infinite light of God is contracted in a manner that the first in Kabbalistic literature speaks about Adam Kadmain, primordial man, which is a divine level of already a great contraction of the infinite light, because now there's termed primordial man. It's not man is down here, but it means the source of limitation, where creation comes from. That then is the esoteric teachings of what's called Soid Hadikna, the mystical teachings of the beard. The concept of the beard is a very lofty thing in mystical teachings. And the idea is that beard on the face, the concept of hair, but beard specifically, and there's the holiness of that, comes from, it's on the head, comes from the most important part of the person on the face, and yet it's a great diminution. So much so that, God forbid, you cut yourself. It's very painful and could be ultimately, lethal. But you cut, we don't cut our beards, but when you cut hair, it's not painful. That is a metaphor for us to understand the diminution, the contraction of the divine light. So much so that, even though the hair is a part of you, it can be easily not a part of you, right? This is the concept, and this is the idea of the 10 spheros, the 10 divine attributes, that the light of God is so contracted that now they vest themselves in a vessel. Need a vessel. Not a very good one, although it's beautiful. Trach good, design good. But we need a clear one. That would be a blue color, or a red color, or a green color. Each color, the light goes through. It takes the the color of the vessel, and now that light and vessel come together as one. That is a divine attribute. The divine attribute, therefore, with a specific color, gives a specific definition. It's this color, not another color. It's chachma, it's divine wisdom, and not chesed, not divine kindness. But this is already the idea of, after a huge multiple contractions, many levels of contractions and great contractions of the infinite light of God, that now there's something that's defined based on the vessel. It's not a creation, mind you. It's an emanation of God, of the divine attribute. Now, with this, because of the contraction, then when we speak about divine knowledge, that God knows, he is the knower, the known and the knowledge all is one, and therefore by knowing himself, he is aware of us and we are a part of him, hence, that's already not in reference to the essence of God, but already a contraction, a sphera, a divine attribute, a specific quality. Now, so is God defined by that? He's absolutely beyond it. It comes from him, intelligence, but he's not defined by intelligence. He's infinitely beyond that. Now here's the kicker. Okay, we get that. But at the same time, he's infinitely beyond it, but he's absolutely united in one with that, with divine intelligence and all of the divine attributes. Totally and absolutely one. A simplistic whole oneness, bound up. As opposed to, as we've learned previously, by us, we also have wisdom. We also have kindness. We also have compassion and all of the human qualities of the soul. But that, in us, is a compound. So therefore we could choose to be compassionate or not. We could choose to use our, wisdom or not. As opposed to God, they're totally bound up in one, and therefore they are constantly engaged in the act of creation, within creation. So it's not like God is choosing this time to be kind, another time to be judgmental, another kind compassionate. No. It's totally bound up in one, and therefore they are. So the Alter Rebbe says that this is esoteric matter, and how the emanations of the spheres, that the light and the vessels, and how they're bound up in totally one with him, is really a deep, profound, esoteric idea. And the Alter Rebbe says that we just have to believe, even though we need to try to understand, absolutely, but ultimately, this is an article of faith, that that God is, in his attributes, are totally bound up as one. Because think about it. How could how could you be infinitely beyond something and yet be bound up with it absolutely, with a total whole oneness? We have no experience for that. We have no reference point for that. We have no real understanding of that. We can understand maybe why it has to be that way, but we can't understand how it is that way. Because there's nothing in our world that we're infinitely removed from it. And yet at the same time, absolutely one with it. We're not even absolutely one with our own powers of our soul. It's a compound. It's not a simplistic whole oneness that we have with the powers of our soul. So we don't get that. And we're not infinitely removed from it. Our soul's not defined by it. There's something beyond that. The powers of the soul, the 3 intellectual and the 7 emotional aspects of the soul. This is the secret of faith. the Zohar says, which is faith that transcends intelligence, because ultimately, intellectually, we can't truly grasp it. We have to try their best, and that's what the Alter Rebbe is trying to give us an understanding, right? Excuse me, spring allergies. So we have to try our best in order that we can have some kind of inkling. But think about it. Amazing idea. Be absolutely beyond something and yet totally being bound up with it. Maybe we can take a lesson in our lives for something like this. There might be people or situations. Well, let's say situations better than people. I don't think it's a good metaphor for people. But there might be situations that we're beyond it. We're absolutely, but yet somehow it became part. It's something that I came across. So it means I have to be not absolutely bound up to it, because we're not, but there has to be a meaning. I can be beyond something and yet be connected to it in a real way. So sometimes we can be beyond, let's say, another person's pettiness. You're absolutely beyond it. So by nature, what would that be? I'm beyond that person's pettiness. I don't have anything to do with them, because they're so petty. They're so childish. Problem is, it's a loved one. So you feel removed from them. What do we learn over here? Absolutely connected. Yes, their pettiness you can be absolutely beyond. But at the same time, you need to be absolutely connected to that person who's your loved one. Not to their pettiness, but to them. That's not a simple thing to accomplish. But an interesting idea. The Alter Rebbe is not saying this here in Tanya, but an idea to take out of this site, that God is absolutely beyond divine intelligence and actions of creation, infinitely beyond, and yet with his divine attributes, he's totally bound up, total connection and absolute unity. So we can have that in our relationships also. Interesting idea to take home. All right. Deborah from Florida. Thank you. Thomas, shalom. Jan from Mexico. Louise, hello. Penina from upstate New York. Boker Tov. Thank you, Denise, for the blessings. Pablo from Florida. Robin, Boker Tov. Rob from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, I thought. No, maybe I got it wrong. Annie from Costa Rica, shalom. And from Portugal, Joa. Andrea from New Jersey. Arya from Miami. Adriana from Brazil. And, all right, folks. Sharing is caring. Today is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, the first day of the month of Tammuz. Or actually, it's the 30th of Sivan. It's the first day of Rosh Chodesh. Tomorrow will be the first of Tammuz. As we prepare for Gimel Tammuz, which tomorrow night, please join us. I'll put the link that you can join us for tomorrow's amazing event with Rabbi Manis Friedman and Rabbi Yossi Jacobson, discussing equality, race, and destiny. The Rebbe's perspective. I'll put it up over here. And then we have Wednesday night of class and Thursday, a full day of learning for Gimel Tammuz. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my home in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Folks, share with others. Have a wonderful day and a good Chodesh.